So essentially today I'm going to be showing you how to make something that looks like this. As you can see, we have an IK that moves like this, but then when we go over here we can kind of turn this off and we're going to see a completely different set of joints, and we can rotate it this way. That's pretty much what an FK IK switch is. What we're going to begin with is what we have right now, and if we go ahead and turn these off, you can see we have a skeleton, and in this skeleton we have a completed hand over here with some orients and stuff, as well as it's connected to the chest, which has some orients as well. The first thing you want to do is you want to take the hand and you want to duplicate it by pressing Shift D, and then you press Control 1 to isolate it. And I just want you to kind of chop off the ends. To do that, you want to delete the end over here, then you want to grab the front over here, maybe go to Edit, Unparent, and by doing that you're going to see on the outliner it's going to move all the way down here. I want you to go ahead and rename this, and it's very, very important that you do this. This is going to be the IK. And I'm going to go ahead and copy the term IK onto every instance of every joint for here, and if we go back to Control 1, you're going to see now we have this IK section. This is going to be controlled using an IK handle, and we're going to make a copy of this, except instead of IK we're going to go ahead and search and replace names and replace anything with the term IK with FK. So now we just have two duplicate sets of joints that don't have anything attached to both ends. So now if you see, we have IK, we have FK, and we have the original right arm. Right arm, IK, right arm, FK, and then just the right arm. So now what do we do, now that we have the duplicates? Now let's set up the duplicates in the appropriate way. So let's Control 1 for the IK joints, and we're going to go ahead and give it an IK handle. You want to make sure the IK handle you give it is not an SC, but instead an RP. Click over here and over here. Now you have an IK handle. We're going to go ahead and Shift select this box we have surrounding this joint that we made, and we're going to put the IK handle into this box. So now this box will control the IK handle. We're also going to go ahead and take the FK, and we want to select the FK joints as well as the FK control. So that's going to be this green control right here, Control 1, and now we're going to give an orient constraint. Here. So now as you can see, we have a set of joints that rotate forward kinematically like this, and we also have a separate set of joints that rotate inverse kinematically. And if you look all together, we have forward kinematics, inverse kinematics, and then we have the original right here, which is not being affected by anything as of right now. So now that we got all of that out of the way, the next process, and this is very important that you follow my instructions very closely for this, you want to have both branches of trees for the IK joints and the original and the FK all open up right here. So we, as you can see, right arm IK, right arm FK, open it all the way up until the wrist is open. And the same goes for over here. You want right arm to open up the right elbow, and then right wrist, nothing below that. And what you want to do is you want to select the FK, shift select the IK, and then select the original. And you're going to give a constraint orient to every single one of those. Same with the elbow. Press G, wrist, and press G. If done correctly, you can grab the IK and move it up, and what you'll see should be this. You're going to see the FK, which is completely not moving, the IK, which is moving to the position that you want it to move in, and the original, which is now oriented to both. And since it's oriented to both, it's at 50% for both, which is exactly why it's in the middle for both. And what we're going to do is pretty much make it so that instead of being at 50%, it can be either at 0% or 100% and kind of snap between the two. That's how this switch works. And so one of the things you'll see on the left now is in the channel box, or the outliner, you'll see a bunch of these red chains, and these are constraints, whether they be orient constraints or parent constraints. They're all going to show up right here as these red chains. And so what you want to do is you want to grab the constraints that are attached to the original. So let's go ahead and select the original. So it's going to be over here. It's the right arm, right elbow, right wrist. You're going to see over here on the right, if it is the appropriate constraint, you're going to see two options over here, one for FK and IK. And it's very important that you have named them correctly, because if you didn't, then you're not going to see the term FK and IK. You're going to see something completely different. It's termed after whatever you called it, which is why I think it's very important to have naming structures, especially when doing this type of process with an FK IK switch. So now that we have this, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Windows, General Editor, and Connection Editor. Before you do anything, make sure left display and right display have show non-keyable turned off, because if they're turned on, as you can see, there's going to be a bunch of stuff that you can't even really do anything with, that you don't really want to have be there. So let's just do this to make it a lot easier. What we're going to click on the left is going to be this FK IK button. We're going to load that on the left. And if anything, we want to add an attribute for FK and IK. So let's create one for FK and make it go from 0 to 1. Now let's make one for IK and have it go from 0 to 1. Now that we added those attributes, let's load that onto the left, and now we can see FK and IK are on the left. Next, we're basically going to go to these three constraints over here that I just mentioned, have these both at 1 and 1. If you see one, if IK has 1 and FK have 1, that evens out to 50%, and so that's why we're getting that issue. So what we want to do, and it's very simple, is reload right, and you want to connect IK to IK and FK to FK for each instance. So reload right, FK is connected to FK, IK is connected to IK, and then reload right, IK is connected to IK, FK is connected to FK. There you go. So now what we're going to have is we're going to have this. When FK is like this, we're going to see that we can move the FK controllers and it's not an issue. But if we try to move the IK, as you can see, the hand's not going to move with it. Whereas if we turn this from 0 to 1 over here, you're going to see when I move the IK, the hand moves with it, but then when I move the FK, the hands don't move with it. You still see joints moving, but that's just the controller for the FK itself. That's going to be invisible in the animation. The hand itself, which is the original, that's the thing that we want to see move. And so what we're seeing is that happening. But obviously we don't want to have to, when switching, do this, snap this to 1 and snap this back to 0. We want that to be automatic. So let's bring this back down. And what I'm going to do is create an expression. So Windows Animation Editor, Expression Editor. And an easy way to go about doing this is you're going to see the selected object over here. You want to select the attribute of the FK. Then select this, copy and paste it down here. The expression is going to be the FK attribute is equal to 1 minus, and then the same exact thing except instead of FK, IK. Click create, and you're going to see a purple thing pop up on the FK. That means that you did it correctly. And now when you try to move the IK to 1, you're going to see the FK automatically go to 0, so now you have that set. One thing real quick to mention is you also want to make sure that the IK handle has the pull vector. Also you're going to see a slight nudge that you don't want to see there before. So now as you can see, it's pretty much working seamlessly. And now what we're going to do is we're going to make it a lot cleaner to look at. So let's open up the set driven key. So you can open up, go to animation, key, and then you're going to set driven key and set. We're going to load for the driver, we're going to load the FK, IK, R, and we're going to make sure that IK is selected, because FK is kind of controlled by an expression, so we can't really do anything with it. And if anything, we can go ahead and hide it, because we can't really do anything with it. So all we need is this. Load driver, all we need to affect is this, and on this side over here, we're going to select the visibility for this. What we want to basically do is we want to make it so that when IK is at 0, let's say the IK handle as well as this over here, their visibilities will also be at 0. Turn this to 0, turn this to 0. Key. And then when the IK is at 1, we want this to turn on. And the same thing about the and Ricky. Same goes for the FK controls. Load that as a driven and have the visibility selected. And I don't know why my visibility has animation on it. It shouldn't. We're gonna have it so that when the IK is off, this is visible, and then when the IK is on, this is invisible. So as you can see now, I have made it so that you can kind of switch, literally switch between the two.